Hey guys, it's Captain Forrest here, and today I'm back with a prediction video. This one's pretty beefy, but before I get into it, I've got some badasses on the channel, so introduce yourself.
What is up, everyone? Corn O'Keefe back yet again. Who's up next?
Hello everyone, it is me, Kirai, or aka the Mind of Kirai, and I'm glad to be here again.
Hello everyone. Name is Combat O'Keefe, or otherwise known as Combat. Like, this is my first. This is the first time I in a collab like this.
Okay, perfect. So, as everyone is aware, Scarlet Witch versus Zatanna on deathbattle. Of course, a Marvel and DC topic. This is where things get a bit spicy, but starting off, I'm going to have Korin, some of the other badasses over here, go over Scarlet Witch. And afterwards, I'm going to give some stuff for Zatanna, best that I know of. And then we can just go ahead and chop it up from there and give our thoughts. So yeah.
Alrighty. So, I'll go ahead and give the mic to Combat. But right before I do that, I do want to give a quick thanks to somebody that Combat and I talked to a little bit before this. I want to give a quick thanks and shout out to Akil on our end, Combat and mine end, and our end as a whole, like just Combat and I. We went to him, talked about some Scarlet Witch stuff. He gave us a little more context as well, and he was a help in that regard. So some of the stuff you'll be hearing from Combat is from Akil. So without further ado,
Thank you for the mic, Corin. And as of right now, I will read over. I will give off everything that I gave and give one justice she deserves. So starting off, it's confirmed that the House of M was indeed Wanda using her chaos magic to its max potential. So it should also be secondary evidence since it's built from an official Marvel account. Wanda, along with Agatha and Natalia Maximoff, were able to be chaos using the same magic while witchcraft itself was dying, meaning they were all weakened. Wanda took attacks from him, and while she wasn't a match for Chaos by herself, she was once again weakened. This is made more impressive when you realize that the entity was stated to be more powerful than the Chaos King, and compared to Entity, this takes place in the eighth cosmos. Wanda one-shots Doom and is able to stay in the other realm without going insane, showing resistance to madness and willpower manipulation, especially fortifying her mind. Wanda also shows the ability to fuse with power sources, even one as potent as the Darkhold. She seals them away in the Darkhold, absorbing his power and the Darkhold's power into her. This is more evidence for Mindhack's resistance, as she can house an abstract entity like Kinton within her mind who has been able to passively corrupt beings. This means that Wanda also has Sinton's power now. The power she had on M-Day is insignificant to that of Sinton's. Wanda controls all reality. He already contradicts the statement that the Children's Crusade makes that she needs the life force to warp reality. When Wanda, quote-unquote, died, she was sent to a realm made out of chaos magic. It is called the Eldritch Orchard. Wanda can bring herself back to life. Even before her consciousness is fully restored into her body, she was able to summon monsters of chaos magic from thought alone, implying that she doesn't even need to be fully alive to attack people. Wanda can merge between her past, present, and summon different variations of her from across the timeline to help her in a fight. Chaos magic is so ancient, primal, and powerful that even Doctor Strange didn't know about it. It was the first form of magic. It's not purely constructive or destructive. It's beyond good and evil, but it's the possibility of both. The possibility of nothing and everything and all in between. It being the first magic would mean that it also predates the magic of the runes, and that sort of makes sense. And Sintan is about as old as Gaia, Jaya, who birthed all the pantheons of creation. All of time is the same to Wanda. She has power over infinite possibility. She is a Nexus being, after all. That can never hold Wanda for long. It's too trivial for her. So how powerful is Sintan? Well, an animated portion of him was able to spread through multi-eternity of the 7 cosmos, killing him through the form of a conceptual cancer. But oh no, a chain reaction. It can't fully scale, right? Sintan possesses Quicksilver and, well, he can't use his full power in Quicksilver's body, so it's still impressive. Sintan is the greatest of the old ones, beings like Shumagora. Sintan is the greatest of the elder gods, which includes Gaia, who gave a fraction of her power to Hercules, which is used to defeat the Chaos King. This is consistent as well. Gaia was born from Oblivion. However, one thing that may imply that Sintan was also born in the void is this. Sintan is stated to be beyond normal time and space in the Ultimates, which will regularly be deep space, implying he's from the superflow or beyond. If you keep reading on, however, you can see that the Enmid saw the face of Sintan, which is described as hell and beyond. Is this referring to the outside? This may be even more interesting to see if there was consistency, and there seems to be some. Elder gods ruled the cosmos before creation. The All One that Sintan is the greatest of, quote, came from the outer dark, end quote, Oblivion? They seem to be aspects of Oblivion, including Shuma. We know that these Old Ones now inhabit the neutral zone in the 8 cosmos as predatory and eldritch concepts, universal transcendences over the superflow. Sintan's realm is in a time beyond time and a place beyond place. Sintan himself is beyond the very concept of evil. He is the underbelly of creation and the shadow that lurks beneath the feet of God. Even that, however, doesn't describe his full power. Sintan's realm passively attacks not just your mind, but also your body, emotions, and soul. Even Strange was struggling, but even after defeating Doom, Wanda was able to sustain herself in the realm with no discomfort, proving that she now has significantly better control for powers than when mental and emotional attacks were the best counters against her. Wanda can manipulate chaos on such a level that she can fuse the very concept of chaos with the very concept of order to make the in-betweener whole again. The most popular thing Wanda did that everyone knows is the House of M. However, Marvel retconned it so that it wasn't Wanda's own power, but rather the life force that allowed her to do so. Or so it looks like. There's several pieces of evidence that suggest Wanda can do so again if she so pleases. A popular scan that people use is this one where Wanda says she needs a huge source of power out and enough casting time to do it. Chaos magic is that huge source of power the moment Wanda stops holding back enough to use it. AVX, which came out after the Children's Crusade, and even says that it was Wanda's chaos magic that allowed her to rewrite reality during M-Day, even comparing it to the Phoenix. Doctor Strange claims that it was Wanda's powers that caused M-Day and claims that she indeed has reality warping powers that makes her a touchstone in the reality within which she exists. The Life Force scan claims that the Life Force was what made her a reality warper. Wanda in her solo run claims that she simply ill-used magic in the past and is feared for it. Finally, even in 2021, it's shown that Wanda indeed has control over reality. In fact, Jason Aaron's Avengers run even has the Avengers database computer placing Wanda next to beings such as the Living Tribunal and the Beyonders as a being with the power to kill Phoenix. Now granted, we know from the Sword to 2020 that the Phoenix in its true form resides in the mystery, and as such, that list would be referring to aspects of the Phoenix that can be killed. However, even those aspects have extremely high showings, and Wanda in the past has erased the Phoenix to such a degree but Cyclops had to regrow it in a phoenix egg during time runs out. This means that the life force simply messed with Wanda's mental state, which caused her to go insane. Stop holding back and say, no more mutants. This is supported by this camera, which says she may not have been in her right mind when she said it, but still, it was Wanda's power that made it happen. Her chaos magic rewrote the natural order of things. Even if we go with the idea that it was indeed the life force that amplified Wanda's powers, it wouldn't be the best case scenario to take, since that whole run implied Wanda couldn't warp reality, was of her other runs that came afterward. It did depict her as a reality warper, even without the life force. Not to mention that the life force was stated by Doom to be even more powerful than the Beyonder, to the point that where he was going to merge with the Creator's mind. Oh yes, I stand by the life force simply being Wanda's power used at its max. Even in the Darkhold, when Wanda brings up the life force, she claims Doom took her power. Another argument to say that House of M would just be Wanda's peak is by arguing that since a retcon took place and Marvel's writers were inconsistent with her power afterwards, it'd still be possible to say by SBE it's her quote-unquote peak. What exactly did Wanda do during the House of M? She could easily summon and take control of Dormammu. She created a pocket of reality where she had children with her reality warping abilities. Wanda erased Hawkeye from existence, but was stated to be capable of doing so to numerous other people with a single blink of her eye. She brought Quicksilver back to life. When Wanda said that quote-unquote, no more mutants, she affected not just Earth, but billions of other different dimensions, as well as the entire multiverse, transfinite realities. Even all the futures that would be created from that moment on would lack the mutant gene. Beast even classifies the spells omniversal, infinite multiverses, megaverses, etc. This was just a spell though. There's more. As a byproduct of Wanda's spell over reality, the walls of reality and causality were weakened, opening up and tearing the fabric of the universe, causing the destructive chaos wage form. It wreaked havoc across the entire multiverse, destroying entire universes and dimensions without problem, reaching up to the Otherworld and causing massive amounts of destruction. Otherworld essentially stands as a nexus to all realities within the multiverse, while simultaneously existing beyond it to the point that it sits alongside both multi-eternity and multi-infinity, 7 cosmos iterations. People from Otherworld like Merlin can view the fate of the entire omniverse below it as a chess game. The chaos waves spread through the omniverse, even bringing Mad Jim Jaspers back to life. Unless the breach was sealed, the chaos wave would consume all creation and merge it into a formless conceptual blob. The very concepts of order and chaos would cease to exist, and all of existence, multi-eternity, would simply become nothing. He was also unable to hold back the chaos wave without dying, even after absorbing power from quote-unquote beyond. Though I don't know if this is necessarily the beyond realm, since it refers to it as pan-dimensional, but it could just be power of the multiverse or something beyond it, like Otherworld. I also found one final piece of evidence that Wanda can perform a spell on the level of M-Day again. This is from Doom himself, who states that after Wanda lost the life force, the power he once abused was not his to wield, while thinking of Wanda, implying it was her power. But even if you argue that it wasn't her power as well, he continues on. Doom verbatim says that he could do great things with even a sliver of Wanda's power. I will make right with the power I once abused, end quote. He abused Wanda's power by manipulating her. Either the life force is Wanda's power, or he simply used Wanda's chaos magic, when the life force only manipulated her. Once he gets Wanda's power, the comic confirms her power is the ability to warp reality. Even with a fraction of her power, Doom brings Cassie Lang back to life. Wanda could one-shot Magic with the Phoenix Force. Has force fields that could possibly be passive. Wanda could harm Cyclops with the Phoenix. He had most of it with the rest possessing Emma. He also took attacks from Emma with the Phoenix. Wanda could shield Magneto from the Phoenix and knock Scott down. Wanda's chaos magic forms a yin-yang duality with the Phoenix, and is one of the only things the Avengers had access that could truly damage the Phoenix. Hope was channeling the chaos magic to also hurt the Phoenix. This was the second time that Hope used the power of a non-mutant. Hope's ability to absorb mutant abilities is so potent that she can access the full potential of said ability. This will mean that she was channeling power on the level of Wanda during M-Day when she was using her chaos magic during AVX. Again, a bit weird since Wanda isn't a mutant. Wanda and Hope essentially knocked the Phoenix out of Cyclops, who has become the Dark Phoenix at that point and was ascending to the white-hot room. It possesses Hope, who becomes the White Phoenix of the Crown. However, Wanda and Hope channeled their power one last time, with Wanda providing 1/2 of the power to disperse the Phoenix Force across the Earth and then ultimately erase it from existence once its energy is under the effects of M-Day. While it was stated that the Phoenix might not have died, it was stated in a later run that the Phoenix was seemingly erased from existence, and it makes more sense since a fake. The next appearance of the Phoenix Force was during Time Runs Out, when Cyclops had to hatch it out of an egg. If it had been alive, I don't think he would have to do that. Wanda could hurt Nyx and make her cry out in pain. Nyx could one-shot Zeus, and her presence on Earth was enough to cause disruptions in the far shore. Wanda could disrupt Nyx's darkness with a spell. Wanda can react to a punch from Nyx. Nyx as a baseline, faster than Spectrum, who should upscale from most Marvel Hurl tier speed feats, which could get anywhere from quintillions to undecillions of times faster, up to layers into immeasurable and even irrelevant speed. It depends on the character you look at, of course. Higher endpoints like Thor and Hyperion should scale to the immeasurable ones, maybe irrelevant ones. Wanda can react to a mind control Thor while weak and slow down time before he hits her with Mjolnir. Mjolnir has been able to travel to Earth from a point far beyond the multiverse. In a few minutes, a weakened and suppressed Odin was able to react to Mjolnir during its travel, and Thor has also been able to react to it in others. Wanda can BFR people via teleportation, teleport herself, and open portals. She can slow down time or freeze it outright. Wanda can speak to someone empathetically, faster than telepathy. She can reverse the powers absorbed by Rogue, so that they go back to their original owners. Wanda can manipulate the superpowers of her opponents. She can block someone's connection to their power source, absorb their power. Wanda can also nullify the effects of someone's powers. In this instance, it was Ripley Ryan with the reality gem. Wanda can even redirect power sources, such as the power coming from Galactus himself. He was overwhelmed at the time, but has since gotten more powerful, such as evidence with Bob, when she quelled the power cosmic of Victorious. Wanda can even use her Haxes to redirect magic back at the attacker. Wanda can transmute matter and energy. She turned towards lightning into butterflies and War Machine's power into iron. She's also turned Magneto's force field into flowers. Wanda can affect food and defeat evil spirits with her magic. Wanda can amp the powers of other people such as her brother, Quicksilver. She amplified his speed to where he ran beyond the limits of speed itself to travel beyond space, time, and reality. Wanda amplified her own speed to this level shortly after she amped Pietro. Wanda is the nexus being of Earth 616, and as such, she's a conduit for immense magic power as well as a cornerstone for the multiverse. She gains the ability to manipulate probability on a massive scale. She can manipulate the probability flow of the entire multiverse and its transfinite duplication of new realities. If Wanda's probability fields interacting with other major probability fields can unravel all of reality, anything can happen when Wanda casts a hex. Wanda can pull power from all infinite probabilities around her, and redirect telepathic assault, and shut down an opponent's power with her probability manipulation. And there's just a chance she's not in the way of someone's attack. She can resist her own powers being used against her. As I showed above, Wanda can even resist Power Null from Dune on a normal level. To add consistency, her son, Wiccan, can also resist power nullification from Doom. Wanda's existence as a Nexus being also makes her extremely vital in the universe that she exists within and overall the multiverse. Due to this, Wanda's powers passively protect her from alterations to the timeline and power nullification effects that directly target abilities that stem from her chaos magic or her being a Nexus. Wanda's hack powers can bypass magical spells. Oh, this man was calling upon Vincent, no less. Wanda also mentally fights the Elder Gods across endless dimensions and holds her own up for an incredible amount of time until she decides to give up. Resist the influence of Serpent Clown. Wanda, under the influence of Magneto, was able to telepathically mess with both Professor X and Doctor Strange, even to the point of physically summoning Dormammu into their minds. Wanda can remove your speed by saying, I quote, "No more speed," end quote. And that will be about everything that has been offered to Wanda. I will give them my back.
Okay. Wait, do you want me to start now?
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll edit this. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and go over some feats for Zatanna. Go over some of the stuff that she has. So, Zatanna was able to defeat the Upside Down Man. A very impressive feat indeed, but she didn't do this through pure power. She did so through her belief. He was far too powerful for her, so what she did was she took him to a place where they were basically equals, so they'd basically fight on equal footing, and she would rely on her belief hacks. Her belief hacks is extremely potent. It's pretty much a stat equalization spell. However, the only reason it had as much effect on the Upside Down Man as it did was because belief was essentially the Upside Down Man's weakness. He believed that magic didn't have any cost and that he was all-powerful. By infecting that with doubt, Zatanna and the rest of the Justice League Dark were able to weaken the Upside Down Man. Not just that, but Zatanna was also being empowered by her belief at the same time. Her magic powers was also not only amped by belief, but the Upside Down Man was also susceptible to it. Not just that, but the Upside Down Man was also weakened by another factor, Swamp King. Now, Swamp King changed the reality of the other place by essentially affecting it with the green through sacrificing his own life, making the Upside Down Man even weaker. Diana, while she was amped by Hecate's power, I believe it was one fourth of Hecate's power, and Dr. Fate also gave it everything they got. Fate not only sacrificed himself to damage the Upside Down Man, but Diana was also holding her own back with all her amplified power so that Zatanna could get her belief spell on him. So this is all impressive. Now I want to talk a little bit about some of Hecate's power that Wonder Woman had. Now Wonder Woman, when she was amped by Hecate's power, she was able to physically damage Upside Down Man, and this is very impressive because Wonder Woman, who barely could control Hecate's power, she literally only had one fourth of it, and it was literally beyond Wonder Woman's comprehension. it was stated that the portion of her power could rip apart the world of magic and end it. Now, for those who don't know, the God Sphere is what is responsible for the magic across like the whole of creation in the universe. And if the God Sphere is like destroyed, like completely gone, then there's no magic. And obviously I've gone through the DC cosmology before on many occasions. So depending on your interpretation of where you have each individual realms, so if you have, like, for example, if you have the bleed at a high hyper plus, and of course you have the God Sphere above it, like, you know, conceptually transcending it, that would be like outerversal, at least for the God Sphere. But if you have the bleed at outerversal, and then you have the God Sphere completely conceptually transcending it, that would be high outerversal. And this is all impressive. And if you put it all together, even despite the fact that it required some help from some of these superheroes, I'd say for like, in terms of like AP for her magic, I'd say Zatanna should be in the realms of outerversal to high outerversal. So that's going to round up AP. Speed, she pretty much should scale to other characters. She's able to tag Superman and Flash and Martian Manhunter with her own magic. So, and they themselves have immeasurable and irrelevant speed. I've mentioned this many times in my other videos, so if you folks would like to get a background check on that, my links will be in the description and those videos will be up. So that's pretty much it for like Zatanna's like AP and speed and all that good stuff. I'll talk a little bit about her magic. So her magic, it's basically reality warping. So whatever she says basically comes to fruition. So for example, she has transmutation. So if she says turn you into sloth, you turn into a sloth. She also has petrification. So if she says, oh, turn to stone, you will turn to stone. She has BFR magic, so she can BFR you to different dimensions, high, you know, outerversal realms, high outer realms that you're unable to escape from. She also has power nullification, so she can nullify people by casting spells. She also has time manipulation. She can reverse time, rewind time, stop it in its complete tracks. So she has like pretty much all like the overall basis of reality warping magic and anything you can fit in it. Like she has gravity manipulation, so anything that she says in a contextual way will basically come to fruit and her opponent will get affected. She can even mind hacks people with her magic, which is another impressive feat for her as well. She's able to resist Martian Manhunter's mind hacks too. She was able to break out of it, which is pretty impressive. And another thing that she does have, you can even argue, Zatanna does have a form of plot hacks, since she can duplicate the books in the library of Babel by adding a word to each of their pages. There are supposedly an infinite number of books. This is impressive because the books in the library contain every word written and every thought not written down within their pages. And of course she has other support hacks, so she can use her reality warping to heal herself. She can undo spells as well, and she can create illusions, and she could just do a wide variety of other types of spells in her disposal. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Zatanna. That's all the stuff that I have, and that's where I have her overall. But yeah, if anyone else would like to, you know, take on the mic, more than welcome to.
Here, I want to give your thoughts overall.
All right, so my thoughts overall on this battle. My future wife and then my wife are both facing each other. Now, who I think is going to win more often than not in this battle, I'm going to have to give it to my current wife, Wanda. Just for one, she's hot as hell. But overall, I just see the better hacks on her side. Even though like Zatanna does have some amazing hacks of her own, I can kind of see this going either way. Really, overall, because it's death battle overall. It's death battle, and death battle could pull out anything. Can really pull out some like feats of like Zatanna into like some higher up crap that they could do with Superman and all that, but they also could do the same thing with Wanda too as well. So I can see this battle going either way, but I'm gonna lean more to Wanda overall. But that's just my thoughts.
All right. Nothing else to add or anything? Nothing like on Wanda's behalf? Nothing like special you wanted to bring up for her?
She gave me a good old spit job the other.
Listen, semantics. Oh, look who's here. The mathematician himself, Corimbus. You want to give your thoughts, big fella?
Thing. So I think when analyzing these two characters, I think Wanda is going to win as well. I agree with Kira in that aspect. I think this because I think Wanda is more prone to using her more potent abilities early on, as opposed to Zatanna. In terms of who's got more abilities, it probably would be Zatanna, because I imagine that what Death Battle can do is they can look at other sorcerers in DC and say Zatanna can probably do it. But discarding that, I think that Scarlet Witch probably would bring out the bigger spells earlier on, and I think just overpower it early on because of such. So that's just my thoughts on that.
Fair enough. So, Combat O'Keefe, you have any final thoughts before I give mine?
On my thoughts, matchup, I wouldn't have much to say, except that I would side with this, as the reason is similar to that as to what Korin and Crimbus said.
Oh, okay. Well, right on. Well, I'll give my final thoughts, and then the captain will come in and give his, overall ultimate thoughts. So for me, I kind of side a little more with Wanda as well. Now, this is one of those fights where, there's multiple things to take into consideration. That's very evident in this. Obviously, Zatanna could land the right spell. She's no amateur whatsoever in that regard, right? So she's very accurate as well with her spells and conjuring, etc., etc. Pretty crazy abilities, crazy arguments. But then when you look at how insane and fundamental the probability manipulation of Wanda is, I do kind of see that being a little bit of a difference maker. Now, Zatanna obviously has dealt with luck manip before. She's dealt with probability stuff here and there, obviously. But when you really look at the scale and compare the two, and just how fundamental Wanda's actually is when you break it down in that regard, I would have to lean more towards Wanda in that situation for sure. So I do feel like a lot of Zatanna's abilities won't ultimately have as great of an effect as Wanda's will. Or Zatanna's abilities ultimately just won't have as much of an effect, against Wanda as Wanda's would against hers, vice versa, yada, 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 however you want to say it. So, that being said, there's obviously raw power to take into consideration, even though this is very much so going to be a battle of supernatural, the metaphysical, etc., stuff like that. It's going to be insane. But in terms of, if we look at AP as well, raw AP with their magic, if you want to, just put a label on it, I would have to say Wanda at her peak is higher into the scale of things, into the outer versal to high outer versal ranges. And depending on how you look at it, what tiering system you use as well, you could obviously argue a tier known as Boundless for Wanda's higher end, for her peak scaling and stuff. So again, it really does depend on how you go about it. But yes, going off what we do know, what we've seen, both of these characters are reaching very high levels. They have spells that can go beyond all dimensionality, conceptually beyond even that at the end of the day. So with that being said, it really does come down to which route seems like the most likely route to go, right? Going off what everyone knows, contextual consistency, a bunch of other good stuff is involved. So yeah, I would have to lean a little more towards Wanda. If we're looking at them at their peaks, we're looking at the abilities. You could argue they're in the same tier of, you know, AP, but I would say, going off what we have blatantly seen, Wanda would have higher layers into it, more layers into the tier. I would say her probability manip is just too fundamental, so to speak. It's just on a higher scale. And she's not lacking in the resistance department either. So I do see Zatanna having a chance, definitely. But I do see Wanda having a more likely chance in this situation. So with that out of the way, I'm going to hand the mic over to Captain Forrest, what he has to say at the end of the day.
Okay. So, listening to everyone's thoughts and, you know, contrasting it to mine and looking at the fight as a whole. Now, this fight is pretty interesting. It just depends on how far you want to take the scaling for both sides. Now, yes, Zatanna herself has dealt with like luck manipulation and probability in a way, but as mentioned and hearing the scaling that's been presented to me for Wanda, I do think her probability manipulation is a little bit more fundamental, just a bit too much for Zatanna in that situation. I do think that with Zatanna's, like, with the spells, she does have a wide variety of different types of magics. So if she does use the right spell, that could help her. But it just comes down to in character and what they're going to start off with in character. And I don't think that Zatanna will be able to even get the right spell off in time. I think Scarlet Witch would just be able to just end it all right there, just one shot, in my opinion. Just higher scaling, higher AP, higher into this tier, and plus Scarlet Witch has a lot of resistances herself, and the probability could also actually hurt Zatanna in a way that actually affect her performance in the fight. So that could be an absolute issue right there and then. So more often not, I just see Scarlet Witch, unfortunately, taking victory more often not. I just don't see like Zatanna resorting to her other crazy magics in time, especially in character. It's very situational, and it just depends on the moment and the situation. And I don't really see the fight dragging on to the point where she will have the chance to resort to those spells. So she just pretty much get finished pretty quickly. So more often not, I have to lean more so Scarlet Witch. Now, I'm unsure what Death Battle is going to do. I don't know where they're going to have them scale. They'll probably like list off a large laundry list of spells and feats and abilities that Zatanna has. In fact, they potentially could give a victory via just variety. But I want to see what they have for Scarlet Witch, because, you know, Scarlet Witch is kind of built different. But yeah, overall, that's just my thoughts. I think it's probably like a low diff. But yeah, if anyone else wants to say anything, more than welcome to.
Yeah, any final thoughts from any of you badasses?
I think
Not
that
really.
I think in terms of what Death Battle are going to do, like less about who would win, but what they would probably do, they'd most likely use some sort of description for the multiverse for DC, because they've done that a couple times now with the Batman episode and the Flash episode. And for Wanda, they'll probably use Wanda like cracking the multiverse of Marvels. They'll probably scale them similar attack potency based off abilities. But like Forrest said, which ones they choose to go with is completely up to them.
Yeah, definitely. And I should mention this as well before we sign off completely, as a plot hack's argument was brought up for Zatanna, which is really interesting too. And I would like to throw out something similar for Wanda in case anyone like watching the video, any of the audience may be curious. But yeah, Eternity actually embodies narrative itself. Narrative in Marvel equals space-time. Eternity embodies the concept of space-time and therefore narrative as well. And obviously we pointed out and highlighted how Scarlet Witch can affect such structures on such a scale with her magic, chaos magic, etc. So she won't have an issue competing with plot hacks, and you can even argue hers is potentially more fundamental, albeit the plot hacks that was presented for Zatanna is also fundamental, very, very incredible stuff as well. So that being said, yeah, both have versatility, both have stuff going for them. I do see Scarlet Witch being higher in the tier. I do see him scaling them to a similar tier, but I just have that feeling, and just going off what we know anyways, that she would likely have more layers in at least AP. Even if Zatanna has more versatility, I see the probability manipulation just countering it. It's just too fundamental, the massive scale of it. So yeah, that's just overall our thoughts. We hope y'all enjoyed this prediction for what it actually was. Hope y'all have a blessed day. Everybody say peace.
Peace.
Peace. I fucked your mom, asshole.